Night settled over the bedroom, pulling a heavy, soundless blanket across the floor. The desk, the rug, and the toy chest vanished into the dark. Silence reigned until the closet doors groaned. It started as a rhythmic vibration, a splintering sound that shook the frame. Then, the wood gave way. A blinding surge of purple light spilled out, cutting through the shadows like a jagged blade. Thousands of Shadow Guard soldiers poured from the darkness, boots thudding against the carpet in a relentless, synchronized march. They formed ranks that stretched toward the center of the room, turning the familiar space into a staging ground for conquest. From the center of the glowing void, Closet King Morvax stepped forward. He stood tall, his presence casting a long, distorted silhouette against the bedroom wall. His voice erupted, a low, grinding sound that vibrated through the floorboards. "The bedroom now belongs to the Closet Kingdom," he boomed. The declaration hung in the air, cold and absolute. The war for the room had begun. Greencap did not hesitate. He drew his blade, the steel catching the harsh purple glare, and shouted orders that cut through the encroaching chaos. Across the room, the response was immediate. Sniper Joe's squad sprinted toward the bookshelf towers, their boots scraping against the wood. Below, Medic Tommy moved with practiced speed, dragging supply crates behind toy blocks to establish a forward aid station. The bedroom floor groaned under the weight of the advancing toy tank division. Their treads crunched over the carpet, rolling forward to meet the incoming tide. The air filled with the sharp sound of plastic colliding with plastic. Hanger Blade Knights dive from the clothes rack, descending like falling stars. The Shoebeast battalion surged forward, their heavy forms slamming into the barricades with enough force to send debris flying across the floor. Green soldiers scrambled to hold the line, firing back as the room dissolved into a frantic, swirling melee. Every inch of the rug became a contested zone. The battle had fully erupted, turning the quiet bedroom into a desperate, high-stakes war zone. Green Captain saw the tide turning against his lines and realized the source of the invasion had to be severed. He signaled his elite strike team, pointing his sword toward the gaping maw of the closet. They charged, leaving the chaos of the bedroom behind. The interior was not a room, but a distorted landscape. A forest of hanging jackets loomed above, their sleeves swaying like thick, dark vines. Beneath them, a mountain of shoeboxes rose in jagged cardboard cliffs, blocking the path. Dust-storm valleys swirled with debris. The team pushed through, boots sinking into layers of lint and forgotten fabric. They navigated the treacherous terrain until they reached the heart of the darkness, the lost toy prison. Captured figures banged against iron-like bars, their faces pressed into the shadows. Green Captain moved to the front. Medic Tommy arrived, working his tools with precision to snap the locks. The metal groaned and gave way. The prisoners spilled out. The rescue was complete, but the deeper they ventured, the more the closet seemed to pulse with a life of its own, watching their every move. The rescued toys joined the ranks, their presence bolstering the advance as they pushed deeper into the closet. They moved in tight formation, boots thumping against the floorboards, eyes fixed on the distant, flickering light of the throne hallway. Suddenly, a deep, resonant laugh echoed from the darkness ahead. Morvax stood on his dais, his hands slamming down onto a control lever. From the ceiling vents and the hidden crevices of the walls, a gray, swirling mass erupted. It was the Dust Phantom Swarm. Thousands of jagged, microscopic particles exploded into the air, spinning with unnatural speed. The clear path ahead vanished instantly. Visibility dropped to zero. The air grew thick and abrasive, coating the soldiers in a layer of suffocating grit. Green Captain raised his arm to shield his face, but the wind whipped the debris into his eyes, forcing him to squint against the stinging onslaught. Behind him, the formation broke. Every toy felt the sudden, crushing weight of isolation. The dread was absolute. Green Captain ignored the stinging grit and lunged forward, his boots finding purchase on the slick throne room floor. He burst through the final veil of the dust storm and saw him. Morvax stood tall, gripping a massive royal hammer that pulsed with a dark, rhythmic light. The king swung, a heavy arc of steel that whistled through the air. Green Captain ducked, the wind of the blow ruffling his hair, and countered with a sharp strike toward the king's side. Steel met metal with a deafening ring. Sparks showered the floor like falling stars, momentarily illuminating the chamber in jagged flashes of white. The impact shuddered up the captain's arm. He stepped back, but Morvax was relentless. The king brought the hammer down again, smashing the floorboards where the captain had stood a second before. Splinters flew. The captain tried to pivot, but his foot caught on a loose board. He stumbled, his balance wavering as he struggled to regain his footing. Morvax roared, raising the hammer high for a finishing strike. The captain scrambled backward, his sword held in a desperate, trembling guard. Morvax swung the hammer, but the blow never landed. A wave of movement flooded the chamber. The rescued toys, freed from the prison, surged forward in a chaotic, unstoppable tide. They swarmed the throne dais, climbing over the legs of the royal guards and pulling them down into the fray. Morvax snarled, his focus fracturing. High above, perched on a precarious shelf, Sniper Joe tracked the movement through his scope. He saw the heavy iron chain. He took a breath and fired. The bullet struck the link with a sharp, metallic crack. The chain snapped. Gravity took hold instantly. The massive fixture plunged downward, a jagged crown of glass and metal hurtling toward the throne. Morvax looked up, his eyes widening. The chandelier slammed into the dais, shattering against the floorboards. The entire room lurched. Morvax stumbled, his footing lost. The green captain saw this uncall tuneg. He pushed off the floor, his sword leveled, and sprinted toward the exposed king. Green Captain closed the distance in a single lunging stride. He drove his sword forward, the blade biting deep into the center of the purple crown atop Morvax's head. The material fractured with a sound like shattering glass. A shockwave of violet light erupted from the break, tearing through the room. Morvax let out a guttural cry as his form began to dissipate into drifting particles. The throne dais groaned, then split down the middle. The ceiling above them buckled, raining plaster and debris onto the floor. The entire closet world shuddered, the walls leaning inward. Green Captain pulled his sword free and spun around. "Move!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the roar of collapsing timber. The army didn't hesitate. They scrambled over the shifting floorboards, dodging falling shelves and collapsing shoe towers. The ground beneath them turned to loose dust, threatening to swallow anyone who slowed down. They sprinted toward the distant, flickering exit. The captain leaped over a gap in the floor, his boots hitting the solid wood of the bedroom threshold just as the closet doors began to slam shut. The closet doors slammed shut with a heavy, final thud. Silence returned to the bedroom, thick and absolute. The swirling vortex of the closet world vanished, leaving only the quiet hum of the morning air. Sunlight began to bleed through the curtains, casting long, pale beams across the floorboards. The bedroom was still. The toys sat scattered in their usual places, motionless, as if they had never moved at all. A moment later, the bedroom door handle turned. The child stepped inside, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He walked across the room, his footsteps light on the carpet. He reached the closet and pulled the doors wide open. Nothing but shelves and hangers met his gaze. He looked at the toys on the floor, then back at the closet, searching for something he could not name. He shrugged, pushed the doors closed with a soft click, and turned to leave. The bedroom door shut behind him, sealing the room in shadow. For a long heartbeat, there was only the sound of the wind outside. Then, in the deepest corner of the closet, the darkness shifted. 2 points of light flickered into existence, glowing with a faint, pulsing violet hue. A hidden panel behind the wall clicked. The nightmare had not ended. It had simply retreated.